Howdy-ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to Let's Talk Oilers. Oilers versus Chicago, November 1st, 2025, Game 13. So, pregame. Holy Hannon Batfink. Hell hath frozen over. Nobby McNob has put Philip and Lazar in the same game at the same time. I thought the date wasn't November 1st. I thought this was April 1st when I saw that. Yeah. Next, you're going to tell me Bouchard's being held accountable? No, that was asking for too much. Bouchard is still in. Tomasek and Stetcher are the sacrificial lambs. Stetcher, that makes sense to me. That makes absolute sense to me. He is a legitimate number 8, number 9 defenseman. So he should have never been in over Lazar or Phillips. So it makes perfect sense that he's back out. Tomasek, I'm not sure what Tomasek did to land him in the press box, but I kind of given up trying to figure out what Knobloch's thinking or doing, So Tomasek's in the press box. So tonight's lines are, first line is McDavid, RNH, and Mangiapane. Second line is Leon, Podkolzin, and Rosovich. Third line is Henrique, Fredericks, and Savoy. And then the fourth line is Phillips, Lazar, and Howard. Bouchard and Ekholm are together. Nurse and Wallman are together. Kulak and Emberson are together. And Skinner is in net. So I'm thrilled. We are finally getting Lazar and Phillip in the same game at the same time. I hope they can produce, but this is only Lazar's third game. And Phillip has also sat out half of the games thus far. So like I said for Wallman, and like I said when Rosovich came in cold, you have to temper expectations on them. They haven't been playing. They've been sitting in the press box. It's absolutely insane to me for people to think that they can come in after sitting numerous games in the press box and just deliver. So we're just going to have to see how it plays out and hope for the best. So Mangiapane remains on the top line despite having zero chemistry with McDavid. Said it last game, say it again. I would put Tomasek, though he scratched this game, or Phillips in the Mangiapane spot on the top line. McDavid and RNH need a gritty player on their wing there. They need what Hyman brings, is go into those corners, get the pucks, and get it out for them. And though Mangiapane has been described as Hyman light, the light part isn't working with McDavid. It's just not. So I would be trying something else if it was me. I don't understand Howard with Phillip and Lazar. Oh, I understand Nobby only thinks in offense, but the fourth line are supposed to be a shutdown line, an energy line, and they should not be judged on offense. It's their job to shut down opponents, play physical, and grind the opponents, wear them down, tire them out. Well, not being scored on and giving our top three lines a chance to catch their breath. That is the definition of a fourth line. And this is no offense to Howard, he doesn't fit those characteristics. Howard is a shooter. He has a shooter's mentality. He's not a physical player. He's not a muck and grinder. He's not a defensive player. So putting him on the fourth line is it's defeating the purpose of a fourth line. It really is. If I could design the lines using these players, it would be on the first line, McDavid, RNH, and Phillips. On the second line, Leon, Podkolzin, Rosovich. That's a great line together. On the third line, and that's where I'd have Mangiapane with Savoy and Howard. Now, that's just because of the players we have available. Like I said, I'm using what Knobloch put out. Honestly, I think you have to choose between Savoy or Howard, and one of them has to go to the farm, and then the other one stays up. Because honestly, for the third line, I would prefer to have Mangiapane, Savoy, or Howard, and Henrique. And then on the fourth line, you could have Lazar, Fredericks, and Tomasek. But Tomasek's been scratched, so what I came up with was Mangiapane, Savoy, Howard, and then for the fourth line, Lazar, Henrique, and Fredericks. And the whole point for that is so we have a shutdown line. Like, we need the shutdown line. We really do. And I'm still far from convinced this team can carry both Savoy and Howard, which I just covered, at the same time. I'd much rather have Henrique replace Savoy rather than, well, Tomasek draws in on the fourth line with Lazar and Fredericks. But I guess that's why I'm a YouTuber. Listening to 880 Ched, I'm never going to get used to that. It's always going to be 6:30 to me. Pre-show, and it's so refreshing to hear Rob Brown and the other guy, who I can never remember his name. I just know him as the hip-hop guy. Because when the last guy left Ched, this guy took over, and he immediately brought out Hip-Hop Tuesdays. So I don't listen on Tuesdays to Inside Sports, because, yeah, hip-hop. Anyway, it's really refreshing to hear these guys admit they have no clue what Noah Phillips needs to do to stay in the lineup, or why he's being scratched at all. I've been saying exactly that all season long, so it's refreshing to hear other people say what I've been saying. So it's not just me confused with Knobloch and his biased against Noah Phillips. And throughout this recap, I'm going to be giving you updates on the Jays game. So the bench is just cleared in Game 7 of the World Series. Blue Jays winning 3-1 at the end of the fourth. You know, you hear the bench clearing, you get excited, but when you turn it on, it's like it's a bunch of people standing around doing nothing. Okay, period 1. Nice early play in the opening minute off Nurse. Nurse got the shot on net, but it was a pass by Leon and Rosevich. It was a really nice play by the three of them. Dangerous bounce in front of Skinner, but Stu comes up big. Nice offensive forecheck by Phillips and Lazar. And I want you to remember that, because that's about the last time I heard of Lazar throughout this whole game. Very nice chance by RNH from corner blind pass from McDavid. So McDavid was in the corner and he did a blind back pass right onto RNH's stick. RNH got a great scoring chance. Got stopped, but it was a nice play. Rosevich is shooting heavy again. This guy just keeps impressing me. Eventually, they're going to start going in. You know, I'm amazed he doesn't have 5 or 6 goals already. I really am. Because he's got that shooter mentality and he gets into the spots he needs to get and he drives at net. Like, there's no backtrack on this guy. He's forward all the way. It's now 4-2 for the Jays, bottom of the 6th, no outs. Leon, Podkolzin, Rosevich been our best line early on. I noticed this. Stuart Skinner made 3 saves, just boom, boom, boom. And the shots on net at the time before he made 3 saves were 4 shots for Chicago. So it should be reading 7. And what I wrote is, I don't understand shot counters. I just watched Skinner make 3 saves, but only credited for 1. And then about a minute later, they added a second shot from that volley. So there's still 1 short. I don't understand how they do the shots on net. Shots at this point were 8-5 for the Oilers. So, yeah, I don't get it. Podkolzin draws a penalty shot at 9:03. Podkolzin goes wide, but dings the bar, so it remains 0-0. Nice one-timer by Savoy, cutting through the slot. And like Lazar, this was really the last time I noticed Lavoie in this game, too. 4-2 Blue Jays at the end of the 7th. This is a funny stat. They said this over the TV. This is the first Game 7 from any league played in Toronto since 1967. So since they won their last Stanley Cup or made their last appearance to the Stanley Cup Finals. Wow. Philip battles 2 Chicago players, digs puck out and feeds Howard for a scoring chance. Philip really came to play this game, and yeah, for Howard, that was the last time I noticed him too. So I don't know what happened. Chicago penalty at 54.4 seconds remaining in the period. Holding the stick, Oilers power play. Leon scores, but was 0.01 seconds too late. Time had expired. Score remains 0-0. That's the end of the first. Shots on net were 6-13 for the Oilers. This is what I was talking about. You know, they were at 4. They got 3 shots to put it to 7. yet somehow the Chicago only got credited for 6 shots all period. I don't get it. And I've noticed this in other games too. Update on the Blue Jays. It's 4-3 now for the Blue Jays, bottom of the 8th. Jays are batting with 0 outs. Second period. Oilers still on the power play for a minute 6. Oiler goal at 19:06. Leon from RNH and McDavid. 1-0 Oilers. Typical power play goal for Leon. Rogers Place just erupted. Top of the 9th. 4-3 Jays. 1 out. 2 outs from winning the World Series. Dodgers just tied the game 4-4. 1 out. Then a couple seconds later, it was 2 outs, 4-4. Oilers penalty at 12:36. Phillips tripping. Battle behind the net he was fighting another player for the puck, and I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but they're battling away. His stick got tied up. The guy went to the gate, tripped over. It was, they argued the call, but it is what it is. We've seen that numerous times from many different players. Now, I honestly don't mind these type of penalties because he's battling at least. It's the tripping and the lazy penalties where they're not battling, they're being lazy. Those are the ones that drive me insane. If you're battling, and these are going to happen once in a while when you're in the fight. Top of the 9th is over. 4-4 Blue Jays are up to bat. Chicago goal, 11:28. Power play goal. Bertuzzi tucks in Bedard's pass. He's in the Hyman position. He's standing on the post. Bedard passes over, and it's a quick tuck in. Stu is sucking the other post because that's bizarre. Bedard had the puck there, so he's got to cover the post in the shot, and in. Skinner is saving the Oilers' bacon in the second period. Chicago is completely outplaying the Oilers now. And then another update, 2 men on, bottom of the 9th, 1 out in the Jays game. Chicago penalties, 3:44 for tripping. It was interesting that I noticed this, and unfortunately it didn't stay as this, but I noticed that Fredericks was up with RNH and McDavid and he was the net front presence for their line, so it didn't stay that way. But I made a note of it because I was like, okay, they're seeing it. They got to get a physical player with McDavid, but sadly no. Then a baseball, bases loaded, 1 out in the 9th. Oilers goal, 2:48. Rosevich from McDavid and Bouchard. It was very much identical to the goal that Chicago scored on the power play. Rosevich was standing on the post. McDavid got it over to him. Easy tap in. 2-1 for the Oilers. Video review in the Jays game. Sadly, they thought the catcher did not have his foot on the plate, and they came in with the winning run. But on a review, the catcher had his foot on the plate. The run was out, and that ended that. Review goes against the Jays. They're heading to extra innings. End of the second. Shots on goal. 23-17 for the Oilers. 2-1 for the Oilers. Third period. Another Jay update. Bottom of the 10th. 1 out. Chicago penalty at 19-18. Holding. Oilers power play. Chicago overloads Bouchard on the offensive blue line and get a breakaway. Skinner came up huge on the shorthanded shot. Chicago goal then at 16:41. Skinner makes a big save, but net front presence fights off Phillips and deposits the rebound. So again, Phillips was in the fight. He's got to figure out a way to win these fights. And I'm going to put this more on Russ than anything. Like, he's getting where he needs to be. He just needs to play more, and as he plays more, he will figure out how to win these fights. But if you keep putting him in the press box, he's not going to learn anything. There is a player in Noah Phillips. Make no doubt about it. He was in this game. He was everywhere he needed to be. So he was positionally sound and he was battling. Just sadly, those 2 plays went against him. But, the tripping call and then this one. But he was in position and he was battling, and that's something we haven't been seeing from the whole Oilers this year. So it's 2-2. Jays game now, top of the 11th. LA has taken a 5-4 lead off of a solo home run. Bottom of the 11th, Dodgers are leading 5-4. One hell of a rush by Rosevich. Goes wide, tries to go 5-hole. said it before and I'll say it again. Eventually they will start going in for him with this effort he's given us. Like, he is driving the net. He's doing everything but scoring. And he's scored a couple now, but he should be up around 5 or 6 goals, not 2. I just realized I haven't heard Howard's name since the first period. And then it occurred to me I hadn't heard Lazar's either. So I'm going to guess they got benched for something. I don't know what it was, but I didn't see them. They weren't out there. A bad Bouchard turnover behind our net, but Skinner bails them out. Huge. Big time. Blue Jays have Min on first and third with 1 out, bottom of the 11th. And then LA Dodgers just turned a double play and have won the World Series. So the LA Dodgers are the World Series champions again this year. Blue Jays made a valid effort. They took them all the way to extra innings of the game 7. So you don't get much closer than that. But, you know, I'm not a baseball fan, so I can't dissect what's happening there. I just telling you what they're telling me. We go to end of the third, shots on goal, 28-27 Chicago. So Chicago was behind in shots on goal, but they overtook the Oilers. Overtime, Ekholm misses an empty net. Like, RNH puts it right on his stick and he shoots it and he just misses a wide open net. And then about a minute later, Oilers goal, 2:17, Bouchard from Leon and McDavid. Leon circles perimeter and feeds Bouchard, who is stopped initially, but the rebound comes right back to him and Bouchard flips it over the prone Hawks goalie. 3-2 Oilers. Shots on net, 29-29. Honestly, one of the better efforts we've seen this season, effort-wise. Skinner was a stud this game, making the saves required to keep us in the game. Like, if it wasn't for him in the second and third periods, we don't win this game. It's that simple. I suspect Howard and Lazar were benched sometime in the first, as I didn't notice them or hear their names rest of the game. Also really didn't notice Emerson or Savoy, though they definitely got some shifts. They weren't involved in the play, I guess, would be the best way to put it. Like, I noticed Kulak out there a lot, so I think we went down to 5 defensemen, is my gut feeling. But, you know, I'm not on the bench. I'm not in Knobloch's ear, so I don't know what the reasoning was behind it or what he saw or anything like that. That's just what I noticed. Majapani was working hard, but he just can't buy good luck paired with McDavid. I really do believe Majapani can't be on the McDavid line. And again, that's not anything against McDavid, and that's nothing against Majapani. They just don't mesh well. Like, Majapani, you saw him working his tail off this game, and so was McDavid. But there was very little results for all that work between the two of them. The good news is McDavid and Leon were flying tonight on their different lines. Like, McDavid and RNH, they have definite chemistry. And then it's surprising, like, you hear Nurse get bashed so much. But I notice Nurse when he's on the ice with McDavid far more. I'm talking 5-on-5. Far more than I ever noticed Bouchard. Like, Nurse and McDavid have chemistry together. The good news is McDavid and Leon were flying tonight. My 3 stars were McDavid, 3 assists, Leon, a goal and assist, and Skinner. He's the reason we won. My 3 slugs, Lazar, invisible, Howard, invisible, Emerson, invisible. McDavid and Leon were flying tonight. McDavid had 2 primary assists and the 3rd assist on the game-winning goal, or the 2nd assist on the game-winning goal, which was the 3rd goal. The reason I didn't give Bouchard the star is he's still a nightmare defensively in the defensive zone. And if not for Skinner, his turnovers would have sunk us. Better overall game by Bouchard. Without a doubt, it was a better overall game. He only had a few big defensive lapses, but he still has a few big defensive lapses every game. And they have to stop. It's that simple. The defensive zone screw-ups have to stop. And like, they were making excuses for him on TV, saying, well, you know, he can't change his game because if he changes his game, he's not going to get the... I'm not talking about offensive plays. I'm talking about defensive screw-ups where he turns over the puck. It's not from a pass. He's screwing up defensively. So being smarter defensively isn't going to affect his offensive game. Special mention has to go to Rosevich again. He had a hell of a game again. Like I said, they're going to start going in for this guy. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. As for the slugs, I think Howard and Lazar were benched in the first for some reason. And you could flip a coin on Emerson and Savoy, as they were mostly invisible as well. So I went with Emerson, but yeah, you could have flipped a coin on the two. But let me say, 3 slugs because they were invisible is a hell of a lot better than 3 slugs because they hurt and cost us. Like, these guys didn't cost us the game. They didn't hurt us. Just not sure they played. So, it's like, how do you reward somebody who doesn't play? I'm not going to give somebody else a slug. Like, I can't give Bouchard a slug, even despite the defensive zone screw-ups, because he got the game-winning goal and he had another assist. So offensively, he had a decent game, but I'm not going to give him a star because of defensively, he's still been Bouchard, but I'm not going to give him a slug. So who do you give the slug to? Well, the easy target is the 3 or 4 you don't notice. So overall, we got about a 43-minute effort from the team tonight. And we shouldn't be going to overtime versus Chicago, just like we shouldn't have been going to overtime versus Rangers. It shouldn't be happening, but so better showing, but still not a complete showing. Next game is Monday versus St. Louis, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time on Sportsnet. And I'm mentioning Sportsnet because when it's a Monday game, you have to be aware that some Monday games will be on Amazon Prime. But I double checked before doing this video, and it is on Sportsnet West. So, and that's my recap. If you liked the video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Come in, tell me, what do you think? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with it? I'd love to have conversations about it. And also leaving a comment really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.